The best product leaders aren't just product managers. They are part psychologists, part economists, part strategists. They see the world through a lens of first principles. But how do you move from theory to practice? How do you stop being a victim of chaos and start being the architect of your own outcomes? This is the Sovereign PM, the podcast that deconstructs the ideas of product strategist Schwarzkopf to give you a more powerful way to think and lead. It's time to own your outcomes. Let's begin.
So if you've ever found yourself trying to navigate product roadmaps, especially in a bigger company, you probably know the feeling I'm talking about. It often feels less like, a strategic plan and more like, well, a battlefield almost.
Yeah, a constant battlefield.
Exactly. You're fighting against internal politics, whoever shouts the loudest stakeholder demands, and, let's face it, the HiPPO approach.
The highest paid person's opinion, yep.
And they often end up dictating things,
Yeah.
and you're left wondering if the roadmap was ever really about strategy in the first place.
It's completely exhausting. I mean, this endless political theater, it's not just frustrating, right?
No, not at all.
It genuinely burns out good teams, talented people, and you waste resources on things with, zero real validation.
Yeah, and it creates this cynicism.
Totally. And maybe even worse, the truly innovative ideas, the strategic ones, they get buried, just lost under all the political noise.
Which leaves companies playing catch-up.
Exactly. It all points to something pretty fundamental being, broken, or traditional product operating system, maybe.
Absolutely. And look, we've tried all the Agile frameworks, every tool imaginable, it feels like sometimes. But the core issue, it just sticks around. So here's where things get maybe a bit unexpected. What if the fix isn't another tool or framework tweak?
Okay.
What if the answer comes from somewhere totally different, like one of the most resilient decentralized systems ever built?
You mean Bitcoin?
That's the one. Now, hang on before you, tune out thinking about crypto prices.
Right. Let's be super clear here. This is not about speculation or market hype or any of that. Forget the noise.
Definitely.
What we're digging into is its brilliant system design. Seriously, it's like a masterclass in creating trust and alignment without a central boss calling all the shots.
So what we want to do today is unpack those core ideas from Bitcoin's design.
And see how we can apply them maybe as a kind of counterintuitive framework to build a product culture that's actually strategic and transparent and, fair.
Yeah, our mission for this deep dive is really to give you, especially you experienced product leaders listening, a sort of shortcut, a way to get informed on this pretty unique approach.
We're hoping for some aha moments, things that might genuinely shift how you think about product culture.
It's not just about what the source material suggests, but digging into why it might work. Looking at the system design, the first principles behind it. So with that goal set, let's dive in. First principle up. Proof of value.
Right, proof of value. And this one takes its cue directly from Bitcoin's proof of work.
Okay, explain that connection a bit.
Well, in Bitcoin, miners have to do actual computationally hard work. They expend real energy, real cost to validate transactions and add blocks to the chain.
Right, it's not just solving a puzzle for fun.
Exactly. It creates this undeniable proof. Proof of effort, proof of integrity. It secures the network, prevents cheating. That's fundamental to why Bitcoin is so resilient and, trustworthy without a central bank.
I like that, because it directly tackles that awful feature factory problem we see so often. So taking that core idea, provable effort, provable integrity, how does the article suggest we actually use this proof of value in product? What's the practical change?
It's pretty potent, actually. The idea is an initiative, doesn't matter how great it sounds or who's pushing for it, is basically worth nothing until someone does the work to prove its value.
Okay, so actual work involved.
Yes. The source suggests mandating a simple proof of value template for, every single new idea. Before you commit any resources, the person proposing it has to answer 3 key questions, and crucially, with evidence.
What are the questions?
First, what specific problem does this solve? For users, for the business, be specific. Second, what's the evidence? And that means data, not just opinions. Customer feedback, support logs, user interviews, market research, something tangible.
Evidence, not opinion. That's key.
Absolutely. And third, what's the strategic value? How does this explicitly tie back to the company's main goals and objectives?
Okay, wow. That immediately changes the game, doesn't it? From just opinion slinging to evidence-based proposals.
Completely. And it kind of democratizes things, too. Anyone can bring an idea forward as long as they do the homework, the proof.
Yeah, the HiPPO can't just demand something anymore. They need to bring the proof like everyone else.
Exactly.
But thinking about organizations,
Hmm?
the ones with established politics,
Yeah.
where do you see the friction? Where's the pushback going to come from when you try to implement this?
Oh, that's a really critical point, the initial resistance. It probably comes from those who are used to just, well, dictating priorities.
Yeah, the I want this crowd.
Right. It forces a shift from I want this to I have evidence this actually matters. And the biggest struggle, honestly, might be getting leadership to agree that they also have to follow the same rules.
Requires real buy-in from the top.
It does. But once it's adopted, you start building this shared language around what value actually means, backed by proof.
Okay, that makes sense. And it seems to flow naturally into the second principle you mentioned, absolute scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bitcoin's hard cap, right?
Right.
21 million coins, that's it.
Exactly. That cap isn't just some random number. It enforces discipline. It creates predictability. And it makes every single unit inherently valuable because it's finite by design.
So how does that apply to product teams? Our resources aren't coins.
No, but our team's time, their focus, our engineering capacity, that's our most valuable finite resource. Yet we often act like it's infinitely stretchable.
Guilty as charged sometimes, yeah.
We all are. The article argues we need to make this scarcity radically transparent, not just developer hours, but the total cost. Think about the meetings, the context switching, the ongoing maintenance.
Oh yeah, the hidden cost.
Imagine seeing the true current cost, the total investment, tied to every single initiative.
Okay, when you make that visible, the whole conversation changes, right?
Definitely.
It stops being, oh, can we just squeeze this one more thing in?
Yeah.
That never-ending backlog refinement.
Yeah. The infinite wish list.
Yeah. It becomes, okay, is this initiative truly a better investment of our genuinely finite resources compared to what's already planned? It forces actual strategic trade-offs.
Real decisions, not just adding to the pile.
But, okay, a potential pitfall maybe.
Yeah.
If you make scarcity too visible, too radically transparent, as you said, do you risk teams becoming overly cautious, like afraid to propose things because they might lose out on resources?
That's a fair question. It's a valid concern. But the goal isn't really to spark some kind of resource panic or land grab.
Right.
It's about clarity. It's about forcing those difficult but really necessary conversations about priorities. When everyone gets the reality of the finite capacity, the focus naturally shifts towards optimizing that capacity for the highest proven value.
So it imposes a kind of healthy economic constraint.
Precisely. It encourages smarter solutions within the bounds, rather than just defaulting to, let's throw more people at it.
Okay, I see. So that transparency around scarcity, it really sets the stage for the third principle, protocol-based prioritization.
Yes, and this is where I think so many product orgs really stumble.
How so?
Think about Bitcoin again. The network runs on a clear, objective protocol. Rules, not feelings or opinions. Transactions get validated against these shared rules, enforced by everyone. It guarantees consistency, fairness.
So the parallel is, why don't our roadmaps operate on a clear protocol like that?
Exactly the question the source poses. The core idea is to swap out those vague scoring systems or gut feel decisions or loudest voice prioritization.
Yeah, the subjective stuff.
And replace it with a strategic protocol, something the whole team understands and, this is crucial, trusts. The source mentions frameworks like the POWR score as one possible example.
POWR score, what's that?
It tries to objectively assess strategic reward versus true cost. So it quantifies things like potential impact, the confidence level in that impact based on the proof of value, and the actual effort or cost, all against criteria everyone's agreed on beforehand.
Okay, so instead of arguing about who wants what, the discussion becomes, what does our agreed upon protocol indicate is most valuable right now?
You got it. It depersonalizes the decisions, focuses everyone on shared logic. It's not about winning an argument, it's about following the process.
But what about the real world? What happens when, the HiPPO or a powerful stakeholder doesn't like what the protocol says and tries to just go around it? Does this system actually hold up against that kind of pressure?
That's the test, isn't it? It absolutely requires leadership to live the protocol, not just give it lip service.
Walk the talk.
Exactly. The real power comes from that collective agreement and sticking to the rules. When the whole organization, top to bottom, understands and trusts the protocol, trying to circumvent it becomes much harder and, frankly, less effective.
It gives product leaders a solid basis to push back too, right?
Absolutely. You can say, look, based on our agreed protocol, this doesn't hit the threshold right now, or there are clearly higher priority items according to the system we all agreed on. It provides a defensible structure.
Which leads us beautifully into the final principle, the transparent ledger.
The culmination, in a way.
Yeah, because the blockchain itself is this public, immutable record. Every transaction, all the data, it's out there for anyone on the network to see.
And that radical transparency is how it builds trust in a system with no central authority. Everyone can verify everything.
So applying that, our roadmap, our backlog, that becomes our transparent ledger.
Precisely. Every idea that's proposed, its proof of value submission that we talked about, its score based on the prioritization protocol, its current status planning, development, shipped, all of it should be visible to everyone.
And it's not just about being open for openness' sake.
No, it's about providing the full context. Why was this chosen? Why is that not being worked on right now? The ledger shows the why based on the system.
You know what's really interesting there? It completely changes the meaning of hearing no.
How so?
Well, a no isn't just some personal rejection from a PM or a leader anymore. It's a transparent outcome of the system everyone agreed to.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
You can literally point to the ledger and say, look, based on our protocol and the evidence we have, this idea currently doesn't have the priority to make it into the next block of work. Let's figure out how to strengthen the evidence, or maybe pivot to something else that aligns better right now.
That builds trust, for sure. But it also educates the whole organization on how strategic choices are actually being made. It demystifies the process.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate again. Any downsides to that much transparency? Could it lead to, like, backseat driving or micromanagement if every single decision is constantly on display? Or maybe a fear of trying bold things if failure is so public?
It's a potential risk, definitely. And it has to be coupled with a strong culture of psychological safety. The aim isn't to enable micromanagement or public shaming. It's really about fostering shared accountability and understanding. When decisions are transparently linked back to the agreed criteria and evidence, the focus shifts away from blaming individuals and towards maybe improving the inputs or the protocol itself.
And it could actually reduce the status update noise, couldn't it?
Exactly. Because anyone who's curious can just check the ledger. It empowers people with information rather than paralyzing them with constant scrutiny, ideally.
Okay, so pulling this all together, these 4 principles, proof of value, absolute scarcity, protocol-based prioritization, and the transparent ledger, they aren't just isolated ideas.
No, they weave together. They form this potentially robust new operating system for how product organizations function.
And the big promise here, the outcome we're aiming for, is a real shift, isn't it? Moving away from a culture driven by internal politics and opinions.
Towards one built on shared purpose and, crucially, provable value.
Where the best ideas, the most genuinely strategic ones, actually rise to the top based on merit, not just who proposed them.
That's the goal. You end up not just building better products, hopefully, but building a much stronger, more resilient team. An unstoppable team, as the source puts it.
Yeah, a team that trusts its own decision-making, because the process itself is objective, transparent, and fair. It's about making strategic clarity less of a vague goal and more of an enforced reality through the system itself.
Well said.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If these kinds of systemic design principles, taking inspiration from something as fundamentally robust as Bitcoin, can potentially transform product culture, where else could they apply?
Interesting question.
Think about other areas in your organization, maybe strategic planning cycles, budget allocation, even things like talent development or R&D funding.
Yeah, anywhere there's competition for finite resources and a risk of politics creeping in.
Exactly. Could applying a similar lens, thinking about proof of value, absolute scarcity, having clear protocols, and a transparent ledger, could that help reduce friction and build more trust and objectivity across the whole enterprise?
It's definitely something worth considering, applying those first principles more broadly.
Definitely something to mull over. We genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this. Jump into the comments. What specific challenges have you faced, or maybe these principles could offer a new angle? Let's continue the conversation there.
And that brings us to the end of this debrief. Our goal is to give you not just ideas, but a more powerful way to think. If you found value in this discussion, the best way to support this work is to give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future session. And if you know a fellow product leader who is wrestling with these same challenges, feel free to share this episode with them. As always, you can find the link to the original, in-depth article by Karsten Schwarzkopf directly in the description below. Thank you for your time and your attention. Stay sovereign.